Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a good morning, evening, afternoon, depending on where you are joining from. Welcome to Peter, who is in our chat. Peter, thank you so much for joining. We love talking all things Australian Survivor, and I can't wait to talk about these next few episodes. But as you can see, we are joined by Ollie and Jack, two Survivor Now podcast analysts. We haven't had either of you on the show before. So, Jack, I want to start with you. How have you been enjoying Australian Survivor Titans vs. Rebels so far?
It's been a great season. You know, on Will and I show Survivor Stock Watch, we always talk about one of his favorite seasons is Survivor Gabon, just because of the absolute train wreck that it provides. And this season, Titans versus Rebels gets on to that level a little bit. You know, a lot of these people are train wrecks, and a lot of the moves that happen in the show are just chaotic. And it's honestly really great to watch when you see everybody being not as great as Survivor. You know, when one person's always being on the mastermind, always being on top, it can get a little boring. And so we have a couple players popping in and out. It's really fluid. It's really kind of entertainingly bad gameplay at times. And yeah, it's good. It's really good.
Ollie, how is this comparing to Survivor UK, which just came out last year?
True. I mean, it's two completely different things. I mean, we had Survivor UK that was a very much slow burner. We got there in the end, whereas kind of to what Jack said, it's been very much a very I'm trying to say this nicely. It's been a lot. It's been in your face. I'm very excited to talk about these next two episodes, obviously. I will say, though, I don't know if it's just me. Three. Sorry, yeah. I don't know if it's just me, but the only thing I've had about the season so far is the fact I feel like we're getting a lot of conversations. I feel like it's like 3/4 conversations and then like a challenge. I don't know if it's anyone else.
As opposed to...
Well, I just feel like normally we'll see like some... Like the challenge will be a big part, but I feel like the pre-tribal, I feel like there's a lot of pre-tribal where we find out about 16 different things. And I'm having to figure out these 16 different things. And then I get to tribal and I'm like, what's going on again?
I will say Australian Survivor, to me, like, I think it does the best out of all of the franchises at, like, to your point, it outlines very specific plans that each of the castaways have. And it's so much fun to see which one is actually going to land during the tribal council. I love seeing plans change up. And to Gabe's point here, there were so many twists this week. And I think we should just kind of get right into it. And these twists, they affected tribal councils because they were essentially just tribal council twists. I mean, this one... Oh, and we have visuals now. Let us know how you are liking these visuals. This one with the sudden tribal council twist where these are the Titans, right? Yeah, the Titans. They have to compete in a challenge at tribal council to determine which 3 players can earn the right to vote. Okay. I know that they had a lot of success with Heroes vs. Villains, the last minute... Thanks, Gabe. The last minute challenges at Tribal Council. I think they were trying to recreate that again. And even in their advertising for this episode, they were like, this is going to be the best Tribal Council you've ever seen. I didn't mind this, but I also I don't know how I felt about it, to be completely honest. I didn't like the fact that suddenly, all of a sudden, everyone lost their vote.
Reasonable to say.
No. Do you know what I was going to say? I understand, yes, because we all kind of roasted Survivor US for doing it. But I didn't mind this. And it probably made me sound so contradictory. But I think what I liked about it was it's early on in the season. Like, it isn't like so far into the game where there isn't that many. Like, do you get what I mean? I feel like that's why I didn't like it in Survivor US, because it was so close to the end. I was like, no, like don't risk it. Now when it's kind of the tribal area and you're still kind of figuring out what's best for each other, I didn't mind that. Also, because the fact that my queen Eileen was in danger, I was like, this is a time to save her. So that's also biasy why I didn't mind.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Australian Survivor twists, they often I find myself looking at two perspectives. The first perspective is I have watched Australian Survivor quite a bit. I'm familiar with it, or at least I'm familiar with the structure, and I know there are going to be twists. Australian Survivor doesn't really rely on those season-long twists like Ghost Island, Redemption Island, lots of islands. They rely on tribal twists or challenge twists to carry them and play up the episode in a different way. And so, yes, Matthew, I agree that they're definitely trying to capitalize on the greatest tribal council ever, or one of the best TV episodes of 2023, surely. They're definitely trying to capitalize on that, but I'm glad they do it in a different way. I would have liked to see maybe a couple more people vote to make it a little more fair. Make it 5. Yeah, I agree, Ollie. Make it 5 people.
Yeah, even 4. But yeah.
Even 4. Make it a little more fair. But the result was great, right? Eileen and Ferris coming together, pulling the votes, making a great, smart, intellectual move with it. But at the same time, if it went a different way, where it would be Kirby, Winna, and Charles, we would be definitely talking about it in a different light, because a unfavorable result would have happened with this tribal. And so I think it's really important to keep that in mind. And then backtracking all the way to my first point, the other half is I don't watch Australian Survivor a lot, or I'm very used to US Survivor. This is weird. Why is this happening? This really changes the game. And I can understand both perspectives. I'm usually in the spot of, I've watched Australian Survivor. I know it happens, but I know other people are, and I understand where they're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm okay with shows trying to experiment and try new things. And you're right, Jack. Australian Survivor does these tribal council twists quite a lot, but something about this just felt so random to me. And it was also the fact that I like your point. I think more people deserve to have the right to vote, and I think it would have been a lot more exciting. I mean, granted, the vote split at the end to get to make sure that Winna's idol play, which we have to talk about Winna too, like that was fun, and I get it, and it was kind of fun to watch. But it didn't have that same spark, that same magic that we saw from the Tribal Council and Heroes versus Villains, where they had a very similar type of thing happen, except that was a last-minute individual immunity challenge. Right. Gabe says, the twist is bad. The result was lucky. Underdogs and Ferris and Eileen won. That was pretty cool to see, and it was fun because I'm rooting for them as well.
I'm rooting for Eileen.
I agree with Amy here too. It needed to be an odd number of people voting. Right? Like 3 was just you for me. And I think it made the question about who was going to go home like very obvious.
Yeah. And I broaching onto the Winna subject now.
Yeah.
Talking about that horrid. Well, to be fair, I will not call it a horrid idol play because he did get a vote.
He saved himself.
He could have gone home, surely. Yeah. My thing is, I think this is a perfect example of, at points in this season, a player is going to bubble up and they're going to make a bad decision. This was Winna's bad decision. He, instead of scaling it back, letting Eileen and Ferris be like, all right, we're still sticking on Charles. Charles is going home. And then trust Kirby's intuition, play it on Charles. He didn't do that, and he instead had his own idea. And I think the people who can really take advantage of that idea of someone making a bad decision, like Eileen and Ferris did with the split vote can capitalize and win. But I want to know what y'all think as well.
Well, I just feel bad because he was not his namesake at this moment in time. Like he was not, which was really sad. Matthew loves it this one. I understood the logic because, like, in theory, he could have counteracted what they did, but I think he's just not like Winner was not selling it because I was like, because it was kind of like even Jonathan was like. He was like, are you putting yourself in the line of fire? And if I was sat there, I'd look at it and I'd go, why is this man putting himself in the line of fire? Like, if you had this stuff to say, you would have said it when Charles and Valeria did.
Right.
So now all of a sudden you're bringing this up.
He was practically waving his idol the entire time. Like that's what
exactly.
I got from it. It was so
Yeah.
funny to watch. The moment he started telling people I have an idol, and again the action of bending over to whisper to someone just kind of screams there's something going on. And then of course to be like, everything got messy because of me, everyone. I just want to remind you all that this was all my fault. I was like, I almost wish he went the opposite approach and was like threw Charles under the bus. And like threw Val under the bus.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's risky and there's a really good chance that something like this wouldn't have worked. But if it made him seem like he was a flip-flopper or was untrustworthy, then I could kind of see like that's the psychological manipulation I kind of wanted from this moment that we didn't get. Val did a better idea of stirring up trouble than Winna did. I know. I kept this even Charles and Val. I love seeing this from them at the tribal council, but I feel so bad that this twist kind of got in the way. In a way, I feel bad. In a way, it was good TV. It was fun to watch.
Well, I think the funny thing was as well, like back to Val, I think she was smart to start it. Because she was like, I'm just going to say my piece and then shut up. And then Charles came in and kind of, honestly, I think we all know when he went for Eileen and Ferris is when he dug his grave.
Yep.
Because it was like, because Val was actually contradicting, like calling out like Eileen's point. So she had every right. Like she was there, like she was doing it logically. And then Charles just came in and was like, yeah, well, I don't like, and I was like, no.
To be fair, I mean, Eileen, Ferris, and Raymond, their plan was Winna. Like they were going to vote for Winna. And, if it were continuing with this twist, the exact way it went, and Charles didn't speak out, it would have been Winna. And Winna could have played the idol for himself and sent Raymond home. But that didn't happen. And we see the guy below me.
Yeah, Charles got voted out. I thought it was, it made for a great moment. It was so cool to see Eileen and Ferris say, all right, we're just going to split the votes. We're not sure who's going to get an idol played. It doesn't matter. We're going to revote anyway. Like it was the reactions were fantastic. But I I didn't understand Valeria and Charles's strategy here, I would say, because although it was very entertaining and I did enjoy watching it, I kind of was like, okay, well, they were saying something along the lines of like, well, Ferris, your ally was telling you to play your idol for Garrick last time and you didn't, and we don't like that. I was like, yeah, but he only didn't play his idol because he trusted you two.
Yeah.
Like he trusted the three original Titans to vote with them. So like you were kind of the ones who betrayed his trust. It didn't really make sense in my mind, but it was fun. Like I said, it was really fun.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. I just a quick thing on that. I think that's been Kirby's mentality with it. Kind of continue to spread the seed that Ferris, mainly Ferris, but anyone associated with Ferris is untrustworthy. The actions they do are untrustworthy. When we all know that Kirby was the one who made the first untrustworthy move, putting that vote. I forget on who, but throwing that vote away and putting it on somebody else. Like Kirby made that move first.
Yeah, wasn't it when she did vote with the Cuddle Crew? She voted with
Yeah. She wanted to hide behind the Cuddle Crew's vote.
Yeah.
very risky, but very interesting. And I think we should also, leading up to this tribal council, it was kind of cool to see. I love the hair up, hair down interaction with Eileen, Valeria, and Charles. I mean, that was my biggest question. I was like, were they really going to move forward with Eileen? I was surprised at tribal council when, I think Eileen knew going into it, but she was like the first one to say, we have to stay OG Rebel strong and vote against the Titans. And I think they weren't really expecting that, but I was like, come on, everyone. But I thought this was really fun. Kind of just seeing them see if they could trust Eileen.
But that's not it. Like, I'm not going to lie, though. I do think the last couple of episodes, we have seen a growth in Eileen. I feel like we have really seen her do well. Like, from, I want to say that first tribal onwards. Maybe not the pre-tribal. I feel like there was a lot of, she was trying to play double agent. But I think it is smart to be like, hey, if I have my hair like this, it means this. Like, it is her kind of being like, this is my subtle way of showing you guys trust. Unfortunately, it did backfire, but I mean, the result in the end, I didn't care.
I mean, it didn't seem like it meant anything, though, because when the moment they stepped into tribal council, it was the lines were drawn again.
Yeah.
But you're right. I do think Eileen sort of got caught up in the double agent role. And I think the unfortunate thing was she needed to have more control in this position than she really did have. And that's why it kind of got to the place it was, where now it's like very clear she's aligned with Varys.
Very true. Very, very true.
And we also had this next tribal council twist. This one I disliked even more because, okay, so the rebels go to tribal council and they are told, they're told later in the tribal council that they're going to vote, and anyone whose name appears in the urn has to draw a rock. Okay, let's just break down the equation for a rock draw. To me, a rock draw is vote plus tie equals rock draw. And to eliminate the tie out of it and just go a vote equals a rock draw, it didn't make sense. It doesn't compute in my head. Am I alone here?
No.
Absolutely not. I think they've done it before. Australian Survivor's done it before, where it is just a vote, and whoever gets the most votes gets sent to the other tribe.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of saw it with Kelly and the sabotage thing.
It happened earlier in the season.
Yeah. And it is a staple, It's usually a non-elimination twist in Australian Survivor. That's what happens. That's how things happen. Add a rock draw on top of it, this just doesn't make sense. It adds a little bit more suspense that I feel like is really maybe needed, I guess.
Yeah, I think because of how the episode had gone, and I think it was like one of the narratives that I think you were kind of what you spoke about, Matt, where there's like multiple narratives. I think what that, like adding that element is, well, first of all, I think they just wanted to try and see what they could add to that, because they'd done it so much. They were like, let's see if we add this little bit of flair.
Yeah.
The flare did not like light up, but it's fine. It was just a little small little fizzle, but it's fine. I think it helped with the narrative of Jaden being confused, because we saw a lot of Jaden kind of sat there going, what do I do? Who am I voting for? And like when there was the talks going on, I think it kind of, when you look at the edit and you kind of remember back to conversations, it was almost alluding to, is Jaden going to vote Mark because that's what he thinks he's meant to do? Mm-hmm. Mark's name suddenly gets on the thing and then he draws the rock and go. Like that's what that was kind of almost what they were alluding to.
That's
like
the
this.
Traditional setup, right? That's the traditional setup for how they do it. Yeah.
You know what's funny is I don't even think that read. Like to me as a viewer, I didn't get that storyline just from watching it. I mean, it makes sense now that I'm hearing it back. But I think the only way that I would fix something like this is if this was the one moment you were allowed to vote for yourself. Because I could see a situation where this is almost like, I wish that they treated this like a lottery, like a lottery for immunity or something like immunity by chance. Mm-hmm. If Mark felt that he was on the bottom of his middle-aged mafia alliance, I don't think he would do this, but just hypothetically, if he sensed that he was on the bottom, if he had sensed that he was going home, I could see him writing his name to say, I'm going to go for the chance to mutiny. It might be risky. It might not work out. But like, I thought that was the one thing that could save a twist like this or make it make a little bit more sense. But I did like seeing the agency from Rhianna here. It was cool to kind of see once the twist was announced, it was cool to see Rhianna kind of say like, I could go, you know, it's fine. I feel like I'd be fine. Just want to share this. Ollie looking fire as always. When are you getting on Survivor UK? We shall see.
At some point. Call me.
All right, but back to Australian Survivor. I really did not like this twist. I'm glad they tried something. I just hope that this leads to better twists in the future.
Yeah.
I really like your idea though, Matthew. I mean, I think, and not only for this, but for non-elimination or tribe sending twists in the future, having the ability to vote yourself adds a dimension to the game. It makes the game 4D from a 3D perspective instead of just adding a little notch to it. So
yeah,
I agree, and I think that would be very interesting to see,
because it definitely it counteracts when you see people like Caroline, who was sat there going, this person can't go, this person can't go. All it takes is for someone to hear that and you go, this person doesn't want me to go, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna
go. I think I have that visual in here later, but it was here we have, you know, Alex, he gets the Titan rock and he is sent along on his way. It was really funny to see what led up to this. I just have to say, like, I was getting so confused and I didn't understand why they were getting so confused.
Yeah, you know, in a previous episode, we had a quick scene at the Rebels camp where it was Caroline and Mark was like, I want to get back with the Middle-Aged Mafia. We're like, okay, what does Caroline think? Caroline's like, I have plans for Mark. And I'm like, ooh, what does that mean? Because that is, when you say you have plans for somebody in your confessional, often that means something a little more devious than just voting him out. And then this episode, we see Caroline basically going, all right, it's time to get rid of Mark. It's just blindside Mark. I'm like, oh, well, that's, you know. But then if you're going to go for it, you got to commit. I can understand why Caroline backed out because, you know, they couldn't commit all the way. It was a little too risky. And then once it got to the point where it was a non-vote, Caroline was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. Just a mess, you know, when the coordination and the splitting votes and you don't even know what's going on anymore and you've been starving for 20-ish days. I get it. It's tough.
Where is that? Is this the part where she's like, I think we're confusing ourselves? I thought this was really funny. And to be fair, I think of all the times for them to get confused and back out of a blindside attempt, it would be this one. Because let's face it, she lucked out with the fact that this really ended up being a non-elimination. And if they had gone to tribal council with the intent to actually put Mark's name into I was going to say the cup, in Mark's name in circulation, the urn, that would have been really bad. They would have had to do a lot more scrambling in the moment. So she kind of lucked out. But I just kept thinking, like, good on Mark, though, I will say, for staying involved in all of the conversations. However, I will say, I don't know how he didn't pick up on it. No.
I was shocked. I was like, Mark, I've seen you have a brain in earlier episodes. I was like, really? But also, I do think Caroline. 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 I think her smartest move that entire episode was literally saying, we can't have Mark go. I was like, because throughout that entire pre-tribal, I was sat there and I was like, you're confusing everyone. I was like, you're confusing yourself. I was like, what? So when she sat there and went, no, Mark can't go, I was like, okay, now she's making sense. Because beforehand, I was like, no clue.
Yeah, and in a non-self-vote environment, if you have that power, if you have that ability to tell people like, hey, Mark can't go, we can't do this. Good on her for having the know-it-all to be like, yeah, this is the right, there you go. We can't let Mark go. And telling it right to Eden, who will just listen blatantly. You know, like it's very, very, very smart from Caroline. And to back up that Mark point, Mark is very smart as a diplomat, knowing to exert himself in the conversation, making sure he isn't getting lost, but also doesn't have the know-with-all to realize that he's probably a target.
I feel like Jack was really heating up there, but to Jack's point, I will say, I think the thing with Mark, we lost you for a second, Jack, so I'll come back to you in just a moment. I think the thing with Mark here that was interesting was the fact that he was sort of in a position where he kind of has to earn trust back. And I think that is what his strategy was in this moment, though it's unfortunate that this was kind of the time that they were planning on taking a shot at him.
No, I was just looking at something you just said then. You were like, he's trying to earn their trust. I think he just needs to realize that those three are not going to trust him. So he just needs to go because Caroline, I can't remember the name. Caroline, thank you. Sorry, I know two versions. I think it's because earlier on in the season when she did kind of betray him and then he tried to betray her and she was sat there going, you betrayed me. I was like, you did it first. But it is that thing of, I think he has to be smart enough to go, I went for her. She knows that. So she has no reasons not to go for me again. Yes, it was tit for tat, but there's it's Survivor. There's never going to be a we're even. We're not even. We haven't. It's not tit for tat. Yep. If we've gone for each other once, we can go for each other again.
I mean, I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but that's kind of what I imagine his mindset is at this moment. And we do have to talk. Gabe, you are right. Poor Jaden. This was, I think I have it here too. This was really funny. Jaden cracked me up this episode a lot, and the next episode.
He cracks me up every episode.
I love him. He's so great. But yeah, just seeing him try to figure out like what is the real vote, and I understood where he was coming from. I mean, everyone was confused at this point, but it led to just this like back and forth of like, is it Mark or is it Alex?
Yeah, we've seen the true journey of Jaden this week. We saw the first episode of the week. He was Michael Jordan. He didn't miss a shot. This episode, he was confused, asking everybody who to vote. And then the most recent episode, he's just eating barbecue and going like, "Oh yeah, there's one, mate," and like just chilling out again. And it's that's Jaden.
Yeah, not a strategic bone in his body, but he is happy to be there. He's happy to be there and compete. And normally I'm like, no, be strategic. But do you know what? I don't know what it is about Jaden. I love it. I'm here. I'm
totally fine. I'm totally fine with it. I think everybody's waiting until the jury starts so they can throw him on the jury and have him as the mayor of Ponderosa for maximum entertainment.
Let's see here.
Yeah.
Oh, what Gabe said, Keith.
Yeah.
Yep.
We love Keith. We do.
Love Keith.
Why don't we take a quick break, because I sense that a storm is coming, and that storm's name is Kelly.
My name is Jonah Fielko, and I'm the CEO of Bracketology.tv, fantasy sports for reality television. We offer fantasy games for shows like The Bachelor, Survivor, Big Brother, RuPaul's Drag Race, and counting. You start by creating a community. Within your community, you can create a fantasy league for each show that you want to play fantasy games for. Within the league, you can choose up to 3 of our 4 game types, and our most popular is the Advanced League. Choose a team of contestants, and depending on what they do and say during the episode, that's how your team will gain or lose points each week. We also have elimination-style games like our Confidence Pool. This is where you choose how confident you are that each contestant will survive elimination that week. And we've also got March Madness-style brackets. Come back a couple hours after the episode to check your scores and watch you climb the leaderboard. Bracketology is free to play, so grab your friends, your family, your coworkers, and head to Bracketology.tv for more info.
And we're doing the Bracketology Fantasy League again for Survivor 46. So make sure if you're a Survivor fan, if you're going to be watching that season, I know I'm going to join this time. I missed out on doing it for Survivor 45. Plus, on top of that, if you are watching Survivor 46, Survivor Now podcast is going to be doing our Survivor Now draft a little bit later today. So make sure you stick around and subscribe so that you get notified when we go live for that. I'm going to look up the time right now because I'm blanking on it, but I think it's 8 p.m. Eastern.
8 p.m. Eastern. I knew my time, UK time.
Yeah,
I couldn't remember.
quickly do the thing. But yes, we're really excited. And I got my draft picks all picked out. But yeah, if you're watching Survivor 46, make sure you stop by. But let's get back to Australian Survivor Titans versus Rebels. And let's talk about this amazing conversation between this alliance going down on the Titans tribe. So they're basically like, okay, Ferris has an idol. I think this is when no, this is before Alex found the idol.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they're basically saying our safest option here, because Alex is now a number for Ferris, our safest option is to get rid of Raymond. And Kelly does not want to do that. I love this reaction from Kirby.
That was my reaction.
Yeah.
Let's start with this episode as a whole. Funniest episode of the season. Top tier. Every moment was hilarious. And Gabe has it right hitting it right on the head there. But yeah, when a full conversation with a little edits, but full conversations are shown on our screens, it's going to be entertaining. And I think Kelly is crazy. When she is not on a tribe with Alex or Tobias or Nathan, she's calm, she's reasonable, she's laying low. Alex got on the tribe, and this episode, it came out of nowhere, right? Last episode before this, normal. First episode of the week, very strategic. You need to vote with us, Raymond. This is what you have to do. You want to stay, you got to vote with us. Like, reasonable from our position. This episode completely came out of nowhere. If you didn't see any promos, I don't know what to tell you.
Sorry, I'm still contemplating. Jack just said Kelly and strategic in the same sentence. I'm still trying to process.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, sorry, I know.
Valeria said that during the episode. We can't copy Valeria's statement. That was a really funny line. Valeria was a huge standout this episode for me. But I
was agreeing with her every step of the way.
Let's see. Hold on, Gabe. I want to read your point here. Kirby knew what she was getting into, allying with Kelly. Should have placated her. Ask Kelly who she wants. Yeah, I do agree that I actually see this as a missed opportunity from both parties here. I think Kirby should have asked the question, okay, you don't want Raymond, who do you want? Yeah. Because that was like a big question mark in my head. I was like, okay, well, who's the other option here? Because I feel like if Kirby disguised her wants as a conversation where they were both sort of narrowing down the options and making Kelly feel more included in the decision, I could see that being much more beneficial to both of them. Kelly, on the other hand, I do think her allegiance to Raymond it seemed misguided, and I think the episode proved that point too, because although they really liked each other, I don't think she owed him her game in that way. And I will say, I think that we've seen many players who are fantastic at the game of Survivor say, oh, my alliance wants my ally out who's over here, but they just go about it in a different way to try to get the numbers off of that person. And then if they realize that they really can't, then they have to figure something else out there. But I don't think Kelly was completely in the wrong here. I just think that I don't think she approached it in a way that was beneficial, obviously, because she ended up going home. But even her interactions later in the episode with the other tribe, I think was just not great. But I do love this conversation with Kirby here, because I kind of see her point, right? She's like, Kirby, you're getting awfully close to those three things. And what happened to our alliance? But I think I agree with Kirby where she's like, well, this is your alliance too, you know?
Yeah. Kelly was just dramatic. I don't know if it's just me not being a Kelly stan, but I think the way she went about the first thing about wanting to keep Raymond, she was over the top about it. And I just think the fact that you kind of just basically said to all of them, nope, we're not doing that. How dare you? And I was like, calm down. I was like, you could have just said, no, I'd rather not. Like, can we go do this? Obviously, that is Kelly's personality. She's not going to change it. She is who she is. We love. But I think had she because Kelly kind of says it best. She goes rogue. She does what she wants. I think the issue is it can't always be what you want, if that makes sense. And I think that's the thing with Kelly. Like, had Kelly gone, I don't think this is the smartest thing. And then easily, I was waiting for her to say Alex's name. All she had to do was say, I'd rather get out Alex. We know that we don't get along.
I was waiting for it too.
Yeah. She never did. And I was like, oh.
And that's the thing. In terms of like Kirby's perspective and in terms of like Valeria, Winna, Scott as well, it starts to get to the point with Kelly. You have her as an ally. You're like, okay, is she just an ally for now? Or is she like a GOAT type of ally that we bring to the end? Because Philip, all the way back in Redemption Island, or let me put it in a recent perspective, Jerry from last season, Heroes versus Villains, at that point, they're like a GOAT. You know, they're like, all right, we're bringing this person to the end no matter what, because they're not going to be an issue or a challenge to win. Do I think Kelly was a challenge to win? No. I don't think she was ever getting a single jury vote. However, I think it got to the point where they just could not deal with Kelly anymore strategically, to the point where she would become more of a liability than an asset to keep around.
I think it's because Kelly proved time and time again she would do what's beneficial for her. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do that in Survivor. I mean, like, her doing the voting Tobias instead of Alex, strategically, I will give her that credit. But the one time I will give her the credit. But she just did it for her own benefit. And she didn't talk to anyone about it. And then it was like the other things. I was like, Kelly, you just this scene. I was like, Kelly, why is she doing?
Kitty,
I didn't understand the purpose
for an episode.
Kelly got a narrative in her head that, because I think she said it, if no one's watched it yet, go watch her exit interview.
We did an exit interview with Kelly yesterday, so make sure you click on our channel. Go. It was great. I go listen to it. I actually learned a lot about Kelly. I really liked hearing what she had to say about her experience there. And I will say, I think a lot of the stuff she said made sense. But Ollie, I mean, keep talking about this scene, because this was sense enough. Like, I could see where she was coming from. I could see her perspective.
I understood it, but it was all from her perspective. She thought that because she basically said in her exit interview, tiniest spoiler, that she was done with the alliance. Basically, after her big blow up at the previous scene, she was like, nope, I kind of basically said I'm done. And then her doing this was her signing her own death warrant, because it's like, but also it's Kirby has entrusted you. Kirby has never done you wrong in 22 days, I think this was. And you're just wringing her out to dry. You're wringing Scott out to dry. You're wringing the entire tribe out to dry. You've just shown you can't be trusted. Like, if I was also, when Kirby was stood over her, I was like, have you not clocked? Have you not clocked?
I think they did. I don't think they. I feel like Kelly knew Kirby was right there. I mean, I feel like they even looked at her too. I don't think she cared.
That makes it worse, because I just think, I mean, well done for having the big kahunas to do that. But also, I just think, well, what are you going to do? You have Raymond. You realize the other side, because I was having a very heated debate with my other half on this when we were watching this entire episode. In this moment, who does she have? She has Raymond. Not really. But she can't go to the other side, because guess who's on the other side? Alex. Alex is not going to save you. and you haven't been loyal to Ferris. Ferris has already seen the like rogue stuff you do. He's not going to want to keep you. You have Eileen, who's already voted for you twice, and you kind of basically said to her, I was really nice to you, voted for me twice, it's done. Like, she didn't have allies on the other side, so I was just like,
No.
you just imploded.
You're
Sorry.
right. That was one thing she did say during the interview was like she felt close. She said she had people on the Rebels. My follow-up question would be like, who was that?
Because
But
Peter, Tobias, Sarah?
they're gone.
I think the thing, but with this, like, I feel like we missed out on seeing some sort of scenes between Kitty and Kelly when Kelly went over to the Titans on the Saboteur, because I feel like they built some sort of a relationship for her. I mean, granted, we'll see. It seemed like Kelly felt that she was close to people very quickly, but because we didn't see any conversations with them in the episodes where Kelly was switched over to the Titans for a short period of time, this felt completely out of place. But it was very fun to watch as a viewer and just kind of being like, oh, what is happening? And I think it answers the question at the end of, has Kelly become too much of a liability for Kirby?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I think they went to that feast, and I thought that this was a very interesting twist here where they all show up for what they assume would be a reward challenge, but then they are offered the choice. Do they go have a wonderful little feast together where they can all talk and get to know each other, or do they choose one of these idol clues and they all have to draw rocks to see what they want, what they choose? Were you surprised with anyone who ended up choosing the idol clue? I wasn't.
No.
No, that wasn't.
Maybe Eden, but I feel like it's just. I mean, Eden's been a very confusing player for me this season, but I guess it's that thing of like Eden just wanted to be a part of the action, which is fair enough. I wasn't surprised by anyone else, but I did like this twist. I thought this was quite interesting.
Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, I
I
think.
liked her.
Yeah, I think it was great as well. I think the way, if the clue were to place, but it were way far away from camp, and there were some confusing knowledge about where exactly it was, it would be more like a normal idol hunt. This was a public idol hunt.
Public.
Like, it was in the shelter or it was in the tree right next to camp. Like, doesn't matter. You're going to find it in front of people. People are going to know. There's nothing you could do.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's a real gamble. Do you really want everybody knowing you have an idol? Because, I'm sure people know Rihanna has an idol on the Rebels, but we didn't really see a lot of that. But Alex, everyone knew Alex had an idol. So Alex just at Tribal goes, yeah, me and my idol, we're gonna, and it's just, it's out there. Do you want that on your back? That is a target.
Yeah, I think that was the kind of moral dilemma with this situation. It's you have the chance to get an idol, but everyone's like it. There's going to be no secrecy with it, and the scary thing would always be the first time you have it, you need to use it. You use it because it is kind of unless you can really capitalize on it. Then it's a very much in the next 2-3 tribals. Like we are going to see these idols played in the first couple of rounds of merge. Like we know it's going to happen. Yeah. So that's kind of the dilemma. I wouldn't have. I personally would have gone for the feast because I probably was going to be hungry and be like Jaden snacking on like that whole leg. Like that's probably would have been me.
I will say like. The people who did do this, it made sense to me what I saw. I think Gabe has an interesting point here. Why didn't Scott go for the idol for the Kirby Alliance? I feel like if they had a chance to discuss, then maybe. But I think in a situation where you're not exactly sure who is going to go, like I could see that happening, and then Kirby being like, "Well, why did Scott go? Scott didn't need to do it." But it would have to all be about like how he would describe his reasons for going, right? He could very easily say like, oh no, it's just to make sure that no one else got it. But they didn't have a chance, at least that we as viewers saw, to discuss a strategy about what they were going. It was very much their personal choice.
Yeah.
I like what Ferris did though. Ferris saw the idol and was like, I can't have 2 idols. I just can't. and made
Yeah.
sure that Alex was the one to get it. I thought this was awesome, and this was also a very funny edit.
Yeah, it was quite smart to really to go back quickly to your point about Scott. I think I'm not just trying to justify Scott's actions, but I may propose that Kirby's Alliance was really talking about Merge this episode quite a bit. And most importantly, they're looking for numbers to go up against Ferris, Eileen, Alex, and Raymond. And they want to look on that other tribe and go, okay, who's on the other tribe that we can recruit? And honestly, with Rihanna, who's already a lock for Kirby, we know that, talk to Caroline, talk to Jaden, talk to Kitty, and get the middle-aged mafia on your side. And that's the majority at Merge.
Yep.
And so idols are a great thing. You can only go so far with that. But now back on to Ferris. We remember David from All Stars. He found 2 idols and had them Iron Manning. They were secret. He never told anybody about his idols until about when he was going to play it reasonably. You know, Ferris told everybody he had his first idol. And so not only would he have that public idol, but he would have this public idol that he finds in front of everybody. You also remember Simon. Yes, Dave, absolutely. with the cookie idol.
But also, didn't Simon have
And the
2
two
idols
idols.
in
Yep.
Yeah.
He
Brain-
did a James
Absolutely.
Clement.
Chris Braun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, throwback. But yeah, I completely agree with Ferris. It's just Ferris was like, "Oh my God, Alex, are you gonna find this thing, or do I have to hand it to you?" Like it was rough. And
He literally
funny.
ended up
again,
handing it to him.
again, very funny.
I think
Yeah.
at one point he was probably just going to grab Alex's head and go, check here. And then
I would play
the,
them.
the idol would be right here, and Alex would still go, where?
Oh,
Where
I
am I
don't see
looking?
it.
Can't see it. I've been like, babe.
I like when Alex said that there must be a typo on the clue. I was like, what? How do we get? Even if there was a typo, like, does it really affect it that much? Like, it's the shelter.
They
The
reiterated
shower was mentioned
shelter
4 times.
7 to 8 times in that clue. It's
And
in
if-
shelter.
I don't
Do you know
remember the
what?
exact wording, but it did also make it very clear that it was in the roof of the shelter too.
Yeah.
Sheltered from
Because
the
it
rain,
mentioned-
sheltered from this, sheltered from
Yes.
that, sheltered from. It's in tree mail. Clearly, sheltered. Yeah.
Yeah. It's in the ocean somewhere.
Yeah. It's the tribe
Well,
council. Sorry.
I mean, the other thing that happened at the feast was Valeria was finally filled in on what happened to her closest ally, Viola. And I kept expecting. So, like, Caroline and Kitty made a very big deal about, like, Mark can't talk to Valeria.
Mhm.
She can't find out the truth about what happened.
Mhm.
But then I kind of felt like they just told her the truth about what happened.
I think.
Their version of the truth, at least.
Yeah. Well, no. So here's what I think. I think Caroline was very much skating around it. She just basically was trying to like cushion the blow. Like, I don't even think she was trying to cushion the blow. She was just trying to basically like smudge the mirror to be like, here is what it is. And then kind of Kitty just came, opened the door and went, no, this is the truth. And I actually appreciated Kitty for that. Because I think Kitty went, do you know what? I'm not going to BS you. Here is the truth of it. And to me, Kitty just outright said it. And actually, I think I think that's a really good thing on Kitty. First of all, before I go on this, Kitty is doing so well and she is getting the purple edit. I know someone earlier said it was I think it was Randy said Charles. No, Kitty is getting the purple edit and I hate it.
It's
her.
just so
Yeah,
unfortunate
Kitty's
because
so
I
unfortunate.
know Kitty is
Yeah.
quite smart.
Because she's proving it, and I think because she's figured out Valeria as a person. You just have to be straight up with her. Valeria appreciates bluntness and just straight to the point. Kitty's done that, so she now knows at least if Caroline kind of skirted around stuff, Valeria's going to be more annoyed with Caroline. Plus, on top of the fact that Caroline was literally just babysitting them for the first 3 episodes.
Yep.
You have that in the sense as well as her not really giving her everything. Kitty's gone, here is the truth. So Valeria's now going to at least probably target Caroline more because she hasn't really given her the truth, shown that she's not that trustworthy, and given her so many reasons as to why she hasn't trusted you. Whereas Kitty's at least gone, do you know what? Here is the truth. And I feel like she'd respect it more.
That is the interesting thing. I agree with you. I think Kitty handled it quite well. Caroline did not. And so Valeria would target Caroline first. But in the sense, I think it's kind of already matched up to the point where Kirby's alliance will link with the middle-aged mafia. And Mark will link with Ferris's alliance. We've seen Mark and Ferris have conversations, challenges, and in like tribe get-togethers.
That's true.
So we're seeing that happen. What is Valeria going to do?
That was literally about to be my favorite.
Yeah, because Valeria is with Mark very clearly. Like she's still with Mark, but she's with Kirby's alliance. Is she going to join Ferris? What's going to happen? We don't know.
She's going to do the double agent thing that Eileen couldn't do.
Maybe she will. And maybe that's her game-winning strategy.
I mean, like, look at how many. Well, I mean, it really was just Kelly that we saw here, but in previous episodes too. Look at how many people have ran to Kitty to give information. We had Rihanna and Sarah. We had Kelly during this. Like, she's doing great there, and I do agree. It is a shame that she's getting very much hidden in the edit. What are you eating? Are those gummy worms? They are. Yes. Sour. Oh my gosh.
You know them well.
I gotta I gotta go out and get some now too. I keep seeing them and I'm like, oh my god, they look so good. Anyway, sorry,
I had a late dinner.
But yes, this is all just to say, Kitty, you're doing a great job, and I see you.
I think it's like Josh from Blood versus Water, really strong player, running the game, and just not get it, which sucks because Kitty's awesome, and I feel like she's running this game. Just don't get it.
I feel like it's one of those things where with Caroline, she is the much more, to the editors, to production, she is the much more visible antagonist to Mark. You know, like I feel like that is the more marketable story that they're going for here, the midwife versus the diplomat.
Marketable.
Yeah. You know what? I'll own it. I love it. I think that that's sort of what's happening here. But I hope we see more from Kitty. Like I already feel like we're seeing each episode. I see a little bit more. And maybe that's just with as people get eliminated. But yeah, it is unfortunate that she's been as hidden as she has been. But I think we should move on and talk about briefly talk about some of the challenges that we have. I really want to give a shout out to Eileen, who just did a phenomenal job. I mean,
she killed that.
Absolutely.
It was epic. I love the fact it made it so rootable, the fact that it was 2 versus 1. It got to that point where it was Rihanna and Kitty on the other end, and then Eileen all the way over here. And it was
Kitty
just
and
so
Rihanna,
really to watch.
touches.
Oh, yeah, they were in it. They were in it. And it was such a nail biter to see who was going to take it home. And then I just love seeing everyone celebrate Eileen. Like that was so great.
I loved it because it was kind of like Eileen's moment. I'm hoping it's not her moment for the season. Because I think like it was even nice as well because she was doing it for her tribe that most likely were going to vote her out. And she's doing it for her own sake. Like the main thing is I'm doing this so I do not go. But also it's like I'm still wanting, like I want to win this and prove to my tribe that I can do this. And to herself. And I was like, do you know what? It just, again, I've kind of stated before, I'm an Eileen stan. It just made me stan her more.
Absolutely. And I think the editors know that. I think the editors recognize that people really thought Eileen, the very first episode, she was very prominent. She was smart and making very strong decisions. People like that. So that we've started to see a little bit more of Eileen this week as it's getting to the middle of the season where the editors are editing it as it goes. and people have seen the reaction to Eileen and go, Eileen's awesome. And I think they're ramping it up well to make Eileen even more of a fan favorite. I love Eileen. I'm an Eileen stan as well.
Yeah, this was such a fantastic moment. I just love when things happen like this on Survivor. It makes me really happy. The other thing that I absolutely adored was Jaden made me laugh so he makes me laugh all the time, as we established. But the fact that Winna and Raymond are also cracking up laughing, just it made it so good. It was so good.
I mean, if you were Raymond or Winner in that situation, you couldn't help not but laugh. I probably would have sat there and gone, right, okay, I'm going on the opposite side of Mark so that Jaden cannot grab me. It's like I clocked the order when they were starting, and I was like, they've really not clocked that all Jaden's going to do is just yank and go.
Yeah. Jaden knew his role. He knew exactly what he had to do. Mark's a swimmer. Jaden's big. Got it figured out.
And hearing him laugh, hearing him just laughing the entire time, it was so wonderful. Did you see he posted on his Instagram? He the WWE wants to bring him in for an audition, and I'm like,
I gotta see it. I gotta see it.
I can't. I love this moment so much. Plus, also when Mark's first round was happening and Jaden was off on the sideline screaming, "You're a fish! You're a fish!"
Come on, you're a fish!
Where did they find? This is he had one of the oldest, greatest memes on TikTok where it was like him in a drive-through, and he was just like, I don't know, something, and he was laughing, and the guy just grabs his throat. I don't know, but it was super funny, and I was like, wait, this is the guy from that really funny TikTok from all the way back at the beginning, and he's living up to it.
Yeah,
he's the comic relief. Let's be fair.
Like television gold. Like this energy, it keeps me coming back to the show along with the strategic stuff that we see all the time, which is fantastic. Not all the time, but like a good amount of the time. I love this moment. I'm so glad we got it. I'm so glad everyone had a good laugh about it. Like this was the final one, and it seemed like the other team like look at them, they lost, and they're just cracking up at this scenario here.
They just know,
there was nothing that could be done.
You know what else they also knew? They also knew that Kelly was going to be the one to go.
I think if there were a lot more uncertainty, it wasn't very clear. I think they would have been a little bit more upset that they were getting manhandled by Samoa Man. But they knew Kelly was going home, and even though there was a lot of paranoia, there was never any doubt that it was going to be Kelly.
Well, I was going to say, I think this is actually something I wanted to mention. I think they were doing a really good job at it until they all started to attack Kelly at Tribal. Until Kelly did get Kelly, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said this. I feel the exact same way, Ollie. I at camp, I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of working. Like I feel like they might play their idols because that was Kirby's plan, right? Let's vote out Kelly, but let's flush the idols too.
And that's a great
Alex,
plan.
And we know
it's a very smart plan. This is a low round. This is a pre-merge, last thing before the merge kind of buffer round. If you can set yourself up for the merge in a good way, do it.
Yeah.
But
because the thing we all know in Survivor is if something is too easy, have a think about what's going on. Unfortunately, this round, it was just very much, it's so easy. Like, it was just so easy. That she was going home. Nothing anyone could do about it unless Ferris or Alex was going to be like, I'm going to keep Kelly an idol. No, that was no guy. It was just one of those, it was create paranoia. But yeah, and as soon as Kelly started talking and going off and just doing Kelly, and then you had Kirby and Valeria kind of just be like, shutting you down. I think it kind of, for Ferris and Alex, it was like, no, we're good. We don't need to play our idols.
I would also add, though, I do think that when they kept going, there was talk at this tribal council about like, anyone with an idol should be nervous. Like that came up too. And I was just kind of like, okay, but also
a little pointed.
it was pointed to the point where I thought I don't think I would have played the idol if I had heard that too, because it was like, we all know what we're here. Like it felt like they were trying to get them to play the idol, and I think they sensed that. Good attempt, right? I'm glad that we all knew Kelly was going, but I think the question of the episode became, would the idols get flushed or not?
Yeah.
Gabe says, on the bright side, Alex finally voted correctly.
Yeah.
We love to see player evolution. Oh, and this was the moment that Kelly said, "Hey, everyone, I am a psychologist." And these were the reactions from Alex and Ferris. Oh, what a moment to go out on. I will say it was a fun moment. I don't know how surprised they really were or to what extent they cared in the moment, but it was fun to see Kelly sort of not know how to exit the game properly.
Yeah.
In the words of Ariana Grande, thank you, next.
Yes.
That's all I have to say on that one. It was more so just a cool, thanks, Cal.
I think they were shocked in a way where it's not like, oh my God, it's more, oh my God. Like, like a little, really?
And who knows if this was really their reactions in the moment, right?
Yeah.
Like these are just close-ups of the two of them. I think the editors knew what they were doing though. With this, it definitely was comical. I'm glad they gave her a round of applause. And you know what? When I think of Titans versus Rebels in the future, I'm going to think of Kelly. Like she's at least going to come to my mind to some extent, because she was a huge part of this pre-merge portion of the game. So, and there's no escaping that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's see. We see. I feel like I'd be having reactions like that to Kelly all day long. I mean, listen. I know that Kelly wasn't a fan favorite per se. She might have her fans, and I think that's awesome. I think she was fun TV, to Gabe's point. I think this is just a good reminder that we don't have to be hateful on social media or anything like that. It's all in good fun. It's just a game. And we'll leave it there. But I want to close out by asking the two of you, I mean, who are you both paying attention to going into the merge next week?
Jack, you first.
Yeah, you know me. I'm the stocks guy. I do the edit. I really analyze the edit, try to get it down. And so I have 4 players that I'm paying attention to. 3 of them for mainly their edit, and 1 of them for fun because I like them. First is Valeria. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what she does and if it's going to work out for her. And if it does, I got a good feeling she's the winner of the season. We'll see, though. We'll see.
Nice.
2 is Mark. What is Mark going to do? Because Mark, we know, can be pretty smart at times, can also make some bad judgment calls at times. What is Mark going to do? How is he going to navigate with a huge merge, right, Gabe? 14-person merge, very, very, very big. I think that's one of the biggest we've ever seen. So, interesting. Number 3 is Ferris. I have him as my number 2 contender to win behind Valeria, because I think his strategies are interesting, and I think his depth of time on the show is very good. And then number 4 is Eileen. I don't think she's going to win just because of the edits, and I love Eileen nonetheless. I think she's a great player. I think she's very smart, and I'm interested to see how she navigates it. So that's mine.
I'm rooting for 3 people: Eileen, Valeria, and Kitty. As you can tell, I'm loving the women this season. Most of them. I don't know what it is about Eileen. I'm just rooting for her. You want her to do well. And I think it's because you're seeing kind of this growth, like kind of underlining just evolution as like a strong person, like strong female. Because I feel like she kind of came in and was like, no, I can do this. Had a little bit of a rattle and then go, no, do you know what? I'm going to keep doing this. And we're seeing her growth physically, which I really love. Valeria, I feel like she is not going to hold back. And I think if you blindside her and put her on a jury, Final tribal council, she's going to let you have it, and that's if that occurs. If she gets on jury, I'm excited for final tribal, because especially if Caroline gets to the end and Valeria is on final tribal, we pray for Caroline. And just I want Kitty. I just want to see Kitty. I think I just said it this entire episode. She has been the social butterfly. She has been the one. She's been the kingpin, like the kingpin, and no one's really realized it. But also, we haven't been able to see it because she's been so under edited. And I do hope come merge we see more kind of edits from her, because I think we've only had like three confessionals.
Yeah,
and I'm like, no, because you can tell how strong of a player she is. Show us it. I don't need a flick from All Stars where they literally just purpled her out. And I was like, no, like, give her the time of day, please. So there's what I'm rooting for.
I think for me, I am excited. I'm looking at the two rivalries that are happening because I'm so curious to know which rivalry is going to end first, because it looks like Kirby is in a really good position. She not only has a lot of numbers on her side right now, but she also has like Valeria, who isn't on a good term with Caroline or Kitty at the moment. And I feel like that is going to be kind of like a natural progression towards the end of the game. But then we also have like the Mark versus Caroline thing going on still. So I'm really curious to see how, especially where the middle-aged mafia lands at the merge. Who are they going to start working with as a group? And I'm really talking about Eden, Caroline, and Kitty here. And I think we'll see what happens with Mark. I think he is going to go back to Valeria, but I wonder if Mark is going to get absorbed into Kirby's alliance or what's going to happen there because of his relationship with Valeria. So lots, very interesting stuff. I'm going to switch my lights next week to be more the color of the merge buff. So I'm very excited about that. Thank you all so much for joining us. As always, we love having you all as like our like additional co-host, if you will, for these reaction videos. So thank you so much for joining. We love seeing your chats in the comment. We are going to end the stream here, but remember, we are going live again later today, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific.
I think 3 hours. I want to say 4 hours.
In 3 hours. Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying now. I thought you were saying it was going to be 3 p.m. for a certain group, but 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We are going to be doing the Survivor 46 draft and cast assessment. So make sure you stick around for that, and we will see you next time.